Oh, there you go.
wow. Well, it sounds like were your parents pretty supportive of this then? Like
Yeah.
yeah, and they never like it seemed like they didn't squash that in you.
No,
Yeah,
no, no.
that
I
probably helped.
mean, there was maybe a certain degree of squashing. I think it happens to all parents.
Mhm.
Uh,
Sure. Yeah.
obviously, it was important to them that I would go to school and that I would
Mhm.
have good grades and all that. So, like, obviously, I couldn't do every single thing I wanted. And
Right.
there was a part I actually was resentful of my dad for a while because he played the accordion really, really well. And he didn't want me or my sister to follow his
Hmm.
footsteps because he suffered a lot with it.
Oh.
And so when I was starting to kind of wanting to do a bit more, it was never kind of, oh yeah, go and do more of it. Because
Hmm.
my dad didn't feel like he didn't feel comfortable with us following that. So for a
Sure.
while, I was very, very cross with him for not never having learned how to play an instrument, a musical instrument.
Mm.
Oh,
So
okay.
Mhm.
yeah.
Which is why you tried to whittle one out of.
Yeah.
I will fight the system.
I know.
That's amazing. You bring up a great point about like the influences that like a parent can put
Hmm.
on you in developing a hobby. Because if I just sit there and reflect on that statement alone just right now, I, I would say that that would ring true in my personal life. I don't feel like I had any hobbies, and maybe that was because of I don't recall ever feeling like a support and an encouragement
Right.
and an interest to really keep pushing forward with
Yeah.
it, right? And I think I need to keep that in mind with
Hmm.
my own
Hmm.
kids. As Aaron and I continue to grow in this like happiness journey, I feel like I'm really reflecting on my own home personal life, and I'm looking at my daughters, and I I keep trying to say what I'm trying to put the word hobby into our vocabulary more. And so, like when my girls are coloring, I'm like, what a great hobby. You're doing a really good job on your hobby. And
Right.
June, my youngest, was like, can you stop?
It's like, I think like more so lead by example, right? Us just doing this, like being committed to even this is like they're gonna see that
I
and
hope
it's
so.
gonna
Yes.
strengthen them. Just like it sounds like your dad was just set an example for you to do the instrument, even though he didn't want you to do it. So
Yeah.
Yeah.
were your parents both really
Yeah, so
into
my mom loved and still loves, even though since my dad passed away, she's dropped off of it. I think something to do with him passing away. She loves painting flowers and things like that. So I think that even though as a child I don't think I've seen her much, but I think it's in our blood to like to. And she used to knit, or like we all our sweaters were knitted by her.
oh wow.
Uh,
Aw.
Yeah.
like all the things that were knits based were
Hmm.
all made by her at home. So I think that artistic type of flair,
Mhm.
definitely. We have lots and lots of um canvases with her stitch work and things like that. So colors and tinkering as well.
Yeah.
My dad used to do lots of things in, because we have like a piece of land where we have our chickens and everything. And I
Hmm.
think being in nature and being in contact with that made us just be more appreciative of that, and maybe wanting um to emulate it somehow. So
Yeah.
yeah.
It
What
sounds
a
like
great point.
it sounds like your background had a huge impact on you. I mean, it makes
Mm.
sense that you just saw that growing up, and so
Yeah.
it came natural to you. Because I
Yeah.
agree with what Tam was saying. Like for me growing up, I definitely had I remember having lots of creative hobbies, but I mean, it was probably slowly over time, but in my memory, it seemed abruptly they kind of dropped off once I get more academic and
Hmm.
things like that. So, and growing up, my parents didn't that just wasn't a priority,
Hmm.
growing up.
It
So
was academia was the
yeah,
priority.
right,
Like they
exactly.
wanted you to be at
Thing.
the
Yeah.
top of the line. Yeah.
Very
Hmm.
utilitarian. It's like, but
Hmm.
at the end of the day, the thing that's kind of sad though is the fact that we can explore our imagination and all those little things are actually so useful for our day-to-day life. Because I could explore all that, every time I start work somewhere, they know me as the person who fixes everything.
Yeah.
Wow.
So, and when I'm not around and something breaks, I've just went on holiday for a week. The girls had a problem in one of the practices, and they're like,
Where's Vera?
and Vera's not here.
Yeah.
How will I fix it?"
We need our
Yeah.
tinkerer.
Yeah. Yeah.
She still tinkers.
It translates in
Mhm.
everything you do, in
Mhm.
everything. And for you, because you're mums, I'm not a mum. I've decided not to be a mum, but I kudos to you for trying to hold that space for your children as well. And it's so hard because there's they must do all the steps of the social ladder, but at the
Sure.
same time, that sanctuarium of imagination and being able to create and be free to create is so important.
It is. And I think it's something that I struggle to really keep implemented in our lives. And I feel like Pat excels at it. So Pat's kind of like the yin to my yang in this, but I'm hoping to kind of make it more of like a common ground so that I can also be a part of that creativity.
I mean, that is motivation. That's why we're here.
Right.
Really.
So, the babies.
Yeah.
And it's,
it's more for ourselves.
You're right. You're right. It's for ourselves.
So,
yeah.
Self.
I mean, yeah. So I know with I don't know if we should dive into specifics about your hobbies because we do have some questions about what some of them are.
Really good questions. Okay, so we got a good like little background of you, and I feel like I think I said at the beginning of this, like Vera, there's no way 20 minutes with you is all I'm going to be able to have. Like I'm going to need more time with you. You're so interesting to me. But again, looking at your list of hobbies that you have, I'm somebody that like gets incredibly overwhelmed with a plethora of options from me. Give me more than two, and I'm like, stop it. That's just too much. How do you take a look at like a free time and pick one? How do you go down that list and be like, this is where I'm going to go?
Because I don't go down the list. It just happens. And some of the things I put on the list are just kind of to show you the things that I've dabbled with. So for example, I tried to play the guitar and I started playing it, and then I met my current partner and that all went to, but then this is the thing that at the end of my bio, I said, I'm actually perfectly fine with not finishing, inverted commas, a hobby or saying, oh, I got to this. Well, I can say I got to the stage, I actually managed to play some songs. Probably won't be able to play them again, but I can say that I played an instrument.
Check. That's it. But you got your instrument.
Yeah. So you're really good, comfortable with there's no end goal when it comes to hobby for you. You just enjoy the hobby, and what you get out of it is what you get out of it. And and so do you will you go back and revisit guitar, or are you kind of done with it now?
So, and don't get me wrong, guys, there was a time where I'd get extremely frustrated for not becoming,
a rock star.
Yeah, exactly.
Lead guitar.
And I have a pretty good voice, and we can talk about work quiet in a minute. And there was times in my life where I thought I could have been some rock star again.
Yeah, sure.
But then I started accepting that whatever would come was supposed to happen that way.
Okay.
And that I can use my voice in different ways. So when I did my master's in psychotherapy, I decided that my voice, when I was seeing clients, I would modulate my voice, and that's something that is musical. So you can still use your gifts in ways that you didn't suspect before. So in going back to your question about which one you choose, it chooses me. It happens in that moment. So again, going to an example of one of the things that I put on the list was decoration tips. The last thing that I did was, long story short, there's some work on in the building, and I have these solar panels that were being hidden by the work that they're doing. So I put them down on the window instead of at the top. But then I had wires everywhere. So then I decided to hide it with artificial flowers in the backs of the panels with some of my macro photos. It just found me. So
You're so adaptable.
Yeah, and so creative.
Right. And I feel like, and then that's something that you would think as moms, like that we would be like instinctually adaptable. And I don't know if you feel this, but I don't feel very adaptable.
No, I think it's hard. And I
struggle.
I mean, this conversation's like making me realize that we just have a lot of like self-work to do. Because I feel like our upbringing potentially just like is stacked against us. And so we're kind of having to rewrite our brain, like the way our minds work.
Right. And like, you keep talking, like you keep going back to this creativity and adaptability. And like, even like with you talking about like your guitar, like you're like, it didn't have to be a hobby and that continued on for a lifetime. It was almost like a seasonal, like a chapter. And you're just like, I just wanted to get to one goal out of it, which was to play a song. And I don't think I've ever considered looking at a hobby like that. No, like
I'm so bad at that.
Right.
I'm like when I start a hobby, I'm like, I need to
the whole thing.
I need to be in a rock band.
And I'm like, I can't count it as a hobby unless I am able to like say that I did all of it in total consuming way. And you're bringing up this great point where you're like, just say that you did a double knot and you just did it. So that's a hobby. brilliant.
It takes the pressure off, right?